Hey, everybody. This is your host, Felipe. You're listening to the Total Basis Podcast. And with me, as always, is Sean Flannery. Sean, how you doing this morning?
We're here. Spring training baseball has started. We have the pitch clock. So that's a thing. And of course, we all know what happened yesterday with the Braves, but that's why it's just practice.
It's
We're
practice.
we're all gonna learn. We're gonna learn together. Um, it is gonna be funny though when all these players go to the WBC where all of these rules won't be followed, and then they have to come back to spring training for like 5 games and get back in that mindset. But
Yeah, they go from playing baseball to track and field. How about that? The, it's pretty remarkable, the uproar that has caused. But yeah, we also woke up this morning and we're finding out that the Padres are definitely all in on Manny Machado. He's going to get the big contract that he was looking for.
Thank you, AJ Preller.
Looks like it's going to be, 11 years, 350 million?
Yep. I'm not sure if that's kicking in this year or next year because he was set to, I believe, make 30 million this year. So I don't think it's been announced. I got about halfway through reading Passan's story that he unlocked.
Trevor's story.
Yeah. He didn't get that much money. But
Can afford
yeah, it's Machado can afford eggs. It's a very good thing for him. Felipe messaged me this morning with that after I'd already seen it, and I said, well, at least he can afford his eggs now, so always good to know. Get that protein. We don't want any substitute protein. We know some guys on that Padres team have been using some substitutes, so we can't have that.
Fernando Tatis.
I'm not. I'm just trying to be polite.
Fernando Tatis got it from his dad, man. Come on, we all know that.
It's like if you watch the Astros-Mets game, the first game of their split squad, it was the Astros broadcast, and they were talking about the AL West and how different it is now compared to just a few years ago. You know, with the Rangers, all the money they've invested, the Mariners improving really very quickly. And then they got to the Athletics, and I think it was Jeff Blum, the color analyst for the Astros broadcast, and the A's are doing A's things. And then the play-by-play guy was like, whoa. And he said, I'm just trying to be polite.
The A's are doing A's.
Yeah. Oh, it was very funny. It was very funny.
And then hey. So today we're going to be talking about spring training battles, right, Sean?
Yes.
We got some good ones here. You sent me a link from Yard Barker.
I need to start Yard Wookie. That's what we can have. Yard Wookie.
But no, it seems like only yesterday where Yard Barker was a no name blog, I guess, and now they're a legit website for all sorts of things. So we're gonna go with it. We're gonna go with this website just to be on the same page here, literally on the same page. So I'm on it on one screen. I got the Fangraphs machine up on the other one, and we're gonna start out with the Angels closer by committee. I did when I was doing my projections, Sean. I did see that the Angels had a cluster of pitchers, and that's all I could say about that. It's just a cluster, right? And I'm gonna go to roster resource really quick, and I see so far nothing has changed since the last time. Well, hold on now.
The Matt Moore thing might have changed a little bit.
Yeah, I don't. Oh man, do I still have that other sheet open? Let me see. I might. Oh yeah. So I'm gonna show you in a second. I'm not gonna show you. Sorry, I'm gonna tell you in a second as soon as this stupid thing cooperates with me. Who they had on the? Oh, there it is. Who was their closer when I was starting to do this? Because I'm not, you know what, Sean, what I learned is if I keep changing these things, I'm never going to get anything done. So we're just going to go with it. When I was doing this in I think it was mid-February, it was Carlos Estevez, Jimmy Herget, Ryan Tepera, and those three guys. And now Matt Moore is into the mix.
And like Aaron Loop was, kind of in the mix as well. But
35-year-old, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. No, and Carlos Estevez has the traditional closer stuff. Out of those guys, do you think it's going to be a true committee, or which one do you think is going to kind of take the step up for it?
Yeah, I actually have I have it written down, so we're gonna go. I'm just gonna jot down whatever our answers are going to be for this. So as of right now, it looks like I would go. this team sucks. God, I would say Carlos Estevez because it's been a long time coming. I always feel like he's one of those guys that maybe not use so much, but I kind of like just because he has shown some ability to be a dependable relief pitcher over the years. And but I'm looking at the what do you call it, the ATC projections, and he is listed as a saves leader for that team. I also like Jimmy Herget,
the human frisbee.
Yeah, right. I like him too. And Ryan Tepera is the traditional flamethrower. But I think if I had a horse on this horse, a horse in this race?
There you go.
Yeah, I think I would go with Carlos Estevez.
Oh, you see, and this is where I get to be the fun and interesting analyst who just takes the entire article and book and just throws it away. I say it's none of those guys.
Oh, can I guess who you would say?
You probably already know. Go ahead and say it.
Okay. Well, the only other guy I was interested in looking at from this team, and let me just double check the projections. And of course, there he is. Yeah, I think even though the walks are a little high, the one other guy that I'm kind of interested in looking at is Jose Quijada.
Okay, I do like Jose Quijada, but even that's not it. I am going with Angels' third-round pick from last year's draft, the volunteer fireman himself, Ben Joyce, owner of the 104 to 105 mile an hour fastball, started his professional career last year after the draft in Double-A. So right out of the draft, straight to Double-A, had a strikeout percentage of 35%, only had a 7% walk rate. Batters hit 220 against him. Solid ground ball rate, ERA in the twos, FIP of 2.12. I mean, it's an 80 grade fastball. I'm not sure if he makes it like right out of camp, but I've been picking this guy up in a lot of the first year player drafts that I've been in. And you're like, oh, why are you picking a relief pitcher? Blah, blah, blah. Because I do think that this is a guy that from last year's draft could seriously impact fantasy this year by getting, 15, 20 something saves. And he could do it even coming out of spring training. I don't know. But when you have the stuff he does, I'm going for it.
Well, you're saying that you're not sure if he's going to break camp with the team or if he's going to break camp with the club. Just knowing how these things work, I don't think he's going to do it. The Angels are not going to, reward him for even if he has a good spring. I have a feeling he's going to get sent down to AAA or whatever. So I'm going to put that down as a long term. But who has a really good chance of breaking camp as a main closer, if any, on this Angels team?
I think it would just be a committee until they call up Ben Joyce.
Okay, who's your guy? If you had to pick one, who would be your guy then?
Probably Estevez, just in terms of true stuff.
Yeah, that's what I thought. What I thought.
Oh, so, shut it.
What I thought. No, it's been a long time coming, but obviously, if they have other options, they would go with it. But I don't know. I just don't. A lot of these teams, you have a good spring. You got a great spring kit, but we're going to send you down to the minors for more polishing. Polish these whatevers.
But I mean, you're already like, I get the innings thing with him. I mean, he threw 32 innings in college last year, 13 in Double-A. So that puts him at around 45 innings pitched. I just like I don't get what you're not going to stretch him out to start. He's not a starter.
Yeah.
Like just use him. I mean,
nah, that's not how it works, man.
The fastball plays.
You and I know. Yeah, you need to face some AAA people. It's a little too soon to call you up, but you'll be hearing from us.
Yeah, we're gonna put you in the PCL and let you just get shelled on 300-foot fly balls and ruin your confidence. Oh
no, we have these fancy numbers now. I will see that your xFIP, it wasn't your fault, that your home runs aren't your fault. But we want to see more season. That's how it works. That's how. The only good thing is that it looks like the Angels are gonna run them through really quickly. But I mean, I agree that if the best player, again, the best player by merit should be the ones getting called up and getting the opportunities. But we know that contractual things are at play here. We got veterans to appease. We have all sorts of things. So I'm going to put you down as the long-term reliever is Ben Joyce, and Estevez is the guy you like breaking out of camp. Moving on to the Blue Jays fifth rotation, which is I was kind of shocked. Whenever I was reading the article that they mentioned. Oh, you know what though? I'm an idiot. I was confusing Yusei Kikuchi with Yusei Kakachi. No, I was confusing Yusei Kikuchi with Hyunjin Ryu. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Hyunjin Ryu is still alive.
he's still alive.
I can confirm that the heart is still beating, the arm is attached to the body. But I don't know if we can even expect anything from
No,
him.
he's completely removed from my list. I don't want him. I don't want anything to do with him this year. Better luck next year. So let's see. The rotations deeper after signing Chris Bassett, says Yard Barker. Who wrote this article? I want to give credit. Seth Trackman. The team would obviously like for Yusei Kikuchi to bounce back, entering the second season of a 3-year, $36 million contract. That's money well spent. But he needs to show better command. Should the lefty falter again, Mitch White is a potential replacement. This is the team that's going to topple the Yankees, apparently, right?
Hey, I hate to hop on the bandwagon so soon, and it's only, a couple of innings. But Kikuchi looked real, and it was the Pittsburgh Pirates. Kikuchi looked really good yesterday. Had a overall 45 caught swinging or called strike whiff percentage, through the slider, the most out of all of his pitches, through the fastball changeup equally, got swings and misses on just about everything. So yeah, maybe maybe there's a shot for Yusei Kikuchi. Because they've always said, like, he's just like, when he came into Seattle the last year before free agency, it was just like they kept tinkering and there was the upside, and then the regular season would start, it just seemed to revert back to the old. But we'll see. I think he's better than any of their other options, though.
It's a pile of trash. It's a pile of trash. I don't like this. I don't like that this was mentioned today. I don't like that we're wasting time on Yusei Kikuchi and Mitch White. I guess we'll both take Kikuchi for different reasons.
Or Ricky Tiedemann could break camp.
Oh yeah,
with the team,
because the
top prospect. Because
the Blue Jays, I mean, when I was looking at it, they didn't have anyone of note. Maybe Josver Zulueta, but there's no way he's breaking camp. Zach Thompson, one of the many Zach Thompsons on this freaking baseball world. No way. Yeah. You want to give Drew Hutchison and Casey Lawrence another chance? No.
It's basically Kikuchi, White, or Tiedemann, and it depends if they want to fuck with Tiedemann's service time.
Oh no, they're not going to do that. Not the Blue Jays. No way. They're not going to do that. No, forget it. No.
They want that extra first round pick if he wins AL Rookie of the Year.
No, they're gonna be like, no, you know what, kid, you need to go back down to AAA. You need to stretch out your arm. You're only 20 years old. You only had 4 starts in AA, so we're gonna put you back in AA Altoona or whatever the hell they play. That's not good idea, Sean, but that's not how it works. That's not how it works. I can go for some tuna right now.
How many innings did he pitch last year? He pitched 67, 78 innings. Yeah, so they'll probably keep him down for a little bit and call him up about halfway through the year.
I'm telling you. And then the other guy, but it's not going to happen. But the other guy is Nate Pearson, who
he has to be a reliever at this point.
It sounds like they're going to make him a relief pitcher, right?
Yeah, but everything I've read, and I even bought low on him in a 30-team league. I got him for basically nothing. And
but I mean, I could see him now. Not that I want to, but I could see him being utilized as a spot starter here and there.
Yeah.
And they're gonna ask him, just give us 3 or 4 innings, kid. Come on, you could do it. Give us 3 or 4 innings, and then we're gonna hand it over.
Do it.
We're gonna hand it over to Mitch White. No, we're gonna hand it over to Trevor Richards. There's another guy.
No, remember when Pablo Lopez, and
yeah,
there was one other. It was like they were the saviors for the Marlins rotation.
No, man, just like the Mets, man. You can't trust those gold mine starting pitching prospects. They'll just let you down. Generation K, and then the superheroes. Yeah, at one point the Mets had a cast of superheroes on the rotation with Thor and the Dark Knight, and I don't know if the other guys had any nickname. DeGrom could be Bionic Man, and
we got all of 1 year basically of all of them healthy.
Who else was on that team? Steven Matz. That doesn't count.
And they were all of them were top 100 prospects except Jacob DeGrom. Isn't it just funny how that works out? Like,
well, he was a shortstop. Come on, man. Yeah. Next on the docket, we're going to go down to Atlanta for another one. Atlanta has a 5th-man rotation problem. I mean, I when I was looking at the projections, not the roster resource, it looked pretty clear and cut to me, but apparently there is a battle going on there. And what was Yar Barker saying? They're saying it could be Ian Anderson, Mike Soroka, Bryce Elder. Bryce Elder had some decent games last year as well. So I will give this, after me trashing them for many years about their pitching, it looks like the Braves have the final laugh on this and have themselves a luxury of riches here with their starting pitchers that they can put in there. But Ian Anderson is kind of like the what would you call it, the flaming prospect, or how would you describe that? Like he was up here, and now he's down here.
He came up real late, then was really good in the postseason in 2020 and then 2021 when they won. And then he came in last year and was just god awful. I mean, even in AAA, he was getting shelled. And we always kind of were worried about him because he was really just a 2-pitch fastball changeup guy. And so he straight up lost his job. And now Mike Soroka, who hasn't pitched a game in 3 years. But it's funny because I saw a picture that the Braves posted of like their top pitching prospects from like 5-6 years ago.
Okay.
It was like Max Fried, Aaron Blair, Colby Allard, Tuki Toussaint, and Mike Foltynewicz. And I used to always say they have these top pitching prospects, and like all of them basically busted, except Max Fried. And Kyle Wright's kind of recovered a little bit.
Yeah.
But, he was garbage until last year.
Yeah.
But it was like seeing Aaron Blair, Colby Allard, Toussaint, and Folty. I was just like, oh my God, like they had all of these guys, and like one of them was good.
Starting pitchers, they will kill you. They will bust your dreams open. Hey, remember Mike Foltynewicz, former Houston Astros farmhand. That's he was supposed to also be a part of that rebuild, and that didn't happen. Nope. The rebuild happened when Jose Altuve emerged as a second baseman. George Springer came up, and then Alex Bregman, and then they cheated. And anyway,
but the real reason that Atlanta kind of finds themselves in this hole right now is this would probably fall between Ian Anderson and Huascar Yanoa, but we know Yanoa went down last year with Tommy John.
Right.
So just kind of insult on top of injury after the year before that he breaks his hand and misses the playoffs. So
yeah, and don't forget about Spencer Strider too. He also well, he was like the Grom. He kind of came out of nowhere, right?
Yep.
I remember around this time last year, Austin and I were looking at the projections, and I think you were on that show as well. Like, hey, not that this guy we're not expecting big things from this guy, but keep your eye on Spencer Strider. And then when it was all time and said and done, he did not make our cut into any of our spreadsheets last year. Not as a reliever, not as a starting pitcher, not as a hitter, obviously. But it was a guy like, hey, if you look deep down in the blue, there's this guy named Spencer Strider who could be something, but we're not sure. We don't know what the Braves are doing. Yeah. And then he became a Cy Young candidate last year, and now he is getting ready for another fantastic season this year. But I'm going to go with Ian Anderson as a default fifth starter for right now, but I really like Bryce Elder as the guy who ultimately takes over the job sometime this season. I like what he did last year. I picked him up in a couple of my teams last season to kind of keep my rotation in order for a little bit. And I can honestly say that I was very impressed with him. So I'm hoping that eventually it becomes one of those things where Anderson starts off, breaks camp with the team, falters around May, and then it's Bryce Elder time. It's Bryce Elder time around May, June, and it's his job, and he never relinquishes it ever again. How do you see it?
Yeah, I would like to see Mike Soroka make the comeback after 3 years. I don't think it's happening. So by default, I'm going Ian Anderson. And they'll ride it until as long as they can. And if he doesn't work out, they're going to have to find something either internally or externally. Because I think Bryce Elder is going to be kind of like that long man swing role out of the bullpen. I think he's probably going to be pretty useful for them there. And especially in terms of limiting innings for guys like Spencer Strider and Charlie Morton to try and keep them healthy, have them exit games, possibly a little bit earlier than you would expect, and have Bryce Elder come in and pick up 2 or 3 innings in relief.
You got no deep cuts for me for this one?
No deep cuts on that one. You can't cut much deeper into the Braves farm system. It's pretty freaking terrible right now.
Well, there's Javis Schuster, there's Alan Rangel. They might be a thing. You never know.
I fell for Ron Hell last year. It's not happening again. I saw the strikeout numbers last year, and then this year he was absolutely terrible. And they've of course traded even more. Yeah, they have just an absolutely terrible farm system right now, and I get it's all on the major league roster right now, but yikes.
Quick shout out to Henry and Angel, who appeared earlier on the show. I don't know if they're still on or not, but they did appear. Did wish us a good morning. I have a name for you here for the Braves, and I'm not sure if this guy's related or not, but I see a JJ Negro. Is he related to any of those Negro brothers?
I have no clue. You would think maybe he knows a guy who knows a scout.
25-year-old prospect in Double-A, right?
Yeah, he is the son of Joe Niekro, nephew of Hall of Famer Phil Niekro, and brother to Lance Niekro, a former MLB player and his college coach.
Is he a knuckleballer? Wait. I'm sorry. His brother was his coach?
I guess so.
Wow. Is he a knuckleballer too?
Okay, and it says nephew of Hall of Famer Phil Niekro and brother to Lance Niekro. So I would assume he's the brother. Is he a knuckleballer? I have no clue.
It only makes sense if he's a knuckleballer. Okay.
Oh, you keep going. I'll do some research here.
Sure. Yeah. So we got a Mike Yastrzemski, and who's the other guy? Percival's kid too for the Dodgers, right?
Oh, and Billy Wagner's kid was playing third base for Houston. Yeah, he had 2 hits and like 2 really good fielding plays. I was like, oh my God, I feel old.
26-year-old prospects, right?
Oh.
They're playing single A and then just dominating. Hey, this guy could be a thing. Can you give him a chance? Come on.
He's got a cool ass name.
I tore my arm ligaments for you, stupid asses. All right. So we did who do we do? The Braves. Okay. To Milwaukee, where I might be there July 4th weekend. So come through if you are in the area. So Milwaukee has a problem. Well, the problem is that they're cheap, as we found out. Like
the problem is they don't like to spend money.
The problem is that they're Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And anyway, but they have an interesting cast of characters down there, up there, I should say. I'm in Chicago. They're in Milwaukee, and they are trying to figure out who's going to be. It says third base, but it really is a question as how is their infield going to pan out? And I think I just listened to an episode of Rates and Barrels with Darren Van Riper and Eno Saris, and they were kind of pulling their hair and playing musical chairs around the infield for this team because the only mainstay is going to be Willie Adames, it seems like, and maybe Roddy Teges, I should say, and obviously William Contreras at catcher. But then is Luis Urias going to play third base? Is Bryce Terang really going to be the second baseman? Because about a couple of weeks ago, Bryce Terang was on the bench, and there's still Keston Hiura, which I know you don't like. But
I do like Keston Hiura. I just think he doesn't fit that roster because if anything, they want to platoon him and have him face lefties, but he's so much better versus righties. He's got the weird, very drastic reverse splits.
And then, well, I know that the strikeouts were a problem before, so, and then they got Brian Anderson and Mike Brousseau. I know he's more of a utility guy, but he's been known to just gobble up some at bats when need be. So it's a real head scratcher here, but I guess it all depends if the Brewers really believe in Brian Anderson, yes or no.
Yeah, I think it could be one of those things where third base is Luis Urias. I mean, he's been solid. I don't think he's done anything to lose his job. 2021, he had the 23 home runs, 112 WRC plus, 2-win player. This year, he missed a little bit of time, only 119 games, hit 16 home runs, 110 WRC plus, 2.5 win player again. So I don't really think he's done anything to lose his job. But while they try and maybe fit Terang into the lineup initially as a platoon, maybe you see versus left-handed pitching, Luis Urias slides over to second base and Brian Anderson comes in and plays third, or even Brian Anderson himself could play. Was playing some second base for the Marlins every now and then as well. So Terang might be the guy that loses at bats as they kind of ease him in and try not to overexpose him. But I think this third base is pretty safe for Luis Urias.
Yeah, that's what I think too. And again, I know he qualifies everywhere in fantasy, but you think if need be, he could move over to like second base and maybe shortstop still at this stage of his career, or no?
Yeah, I wouldn't be betting on him playing any shortstop. I'm trying to look at his up the middle defensive numbers. In 2021, he played, so he's basically a -2 DRS at second base the last 2 years. He's played a little bit there, roughly 60 games over the last 2 years for Milwaukee. But last year he was a 1 DRS, 4 outs above average at second base. So yeah, he could get a little bit of playing time at second base. It just depends on how much they want to move him around, or would they rather just platoon Terang and like Brian Anderson straight up and have Anderson play second base.
All right, let's move on then. So we both got Luis Urias for third base with Milwaukee, right? And
Yep.
That's okay. Well, we stay in Milwaukee, and now we've tried to figure out. Oh, I see what they're doing. They're doing this by alphabetical order. Oops.
Yeah.
I did not realize that. So I thought,
just
wow.
like Buck in his inter-squad lineup. I'm not sure if you saw that. It was
No, I missed it.
It was hilarious. So they had asked him before their inter-squad game on Friday, how are you going to do the lineups? He goes, well, on the one, I'm going to put the WBC guys first. He said their teams want them to have a certain amount of, plate appearances, bats, whatever. He did the WBC guys in order. He did Alonso Escobar, Lindor McNeil, and then he went to like just the prospect guys, did them in alphabetical order, and all the way down to Vogelbach was batting ninth. And then in the other lineup for the inter-squad game, which featured mainly prospects, it started off Beatty, Cedrola, and it went all the way down to Vientos. And so he had actually done the entire lineups alphabetical order. And 1 sec.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you're good. So it was just really funny because he had told the reporters like it as a joke, and everyone was like, ha 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 ha. And then they released the lineups the next day, and it's legit in alphabetical order.
All right. Moving on. We're gonna go to we're staying in Milwaukee and figure out their pitching situation. I guess we can assume that the first 4 guys are safe, and then we're just trying to figure out if Wade Miley's gonna be the 5th starter, or if Adrian Hauser is gonna be moved from the bullpen to the 5th starter, or maybe they go 6-man rotation. You still got Bryce Wilson, who we just talked about the Braves, former Braves prospect there. Aaron Ashby is hurt right now with shoulder fatigue, but he can also always come back. And you got Jason Alexander, who played George Costanza on Seinfeld, shoulder inflammation. And then I think they have some guys on the minors that might be worth looking at. I know we saw Ethan Small and Jansen Junk last year. I think I listed Robert Gasser as one of my guys on my prospects list, and even the article here says that it's Wade Miley, Bryce Wilson, or even Adrian Hauser, Aaron Ashby. So it's a lot of options. Doesn't mean they're good options, but it's a lot of options.
They're there.
They're there. In a perfect world, if Aaron Ashby's healthy and has command issues, I would like to see Aaron Ashby for selfish reasons. I know he's, as you know, it's very easy to get attached to some of these players.
Yeah. And
Aaron Ashby, he's pretty much synonymous with the show. He was that one guy that we talked about 2 years ago about, hey, look out for this Aaron Ashby, very little known prospect. He could be a thing, and he's so close to being a thing. It's Milwaukee, man. They keep messing him up, and now he has a shoulder fatigue. But I still believe in Aaron Ashby, especially if he's going to be the 5th starter. How do you see it panning out?
With Ashby out, I'm not sure if they'll do a 6-man rotation, but that would kind of solve a lot of problems. I have a hard time seeing them putting Hauser in the bullpen. I know Hauser had a bit of a down year last year, but he's just a guy. I mean, he's been a staple of that rotation basically for 3.5 years now. Never been super flashy, but all you kind of know what you're getting with Adrian Hauser, the bowling ball sinker. I have a hard time seeing them just take him out of the lineup or out of the rotation. And of course, Freddie Peralta is still an absolute question mark. So I think that there might be an open spot in that rotation just because I don't really trust Freddie Peralta. And I think he's pitching in the WBC, which seems insane for someone with all the issues he's had the last few years.
You got to pitch sometime, right? So you got to pitch sometime. You just can't sit on the sidelines for too long and take it easy. Otherwise, at this point, if no one's going to be willing to pitch in the WBC, It's time to like I've been saying all along. It's time to bring in the robot umpires and the robot pitchers.
Did you see where Team Mexico took a big loss in their player pool yesterday?
No, what happened?
Alejandro Kirk bowed out.
He's out with gout, you say?
No, he bowed out.
Oh, he bowed out. Yeah,
Yeah.
he. It was his decision to make. I'm sure it was.
Well, it was funny because they said it was due the Carlos Correa reason. His wife's about to give birth, but then the team made a statement on it, and it's like, so was it his choice or was it you guys told him and just said find a reason?
So you said 6-man rotation, right?
For Milwaukee, I mean they could. I think Adrian Hauser.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Adrian Hauser fits in there.
I'm just writing it down. That's all. We'll go back down to Chicago, my neck of the woods. And apparently there's a position battle at third base. Like, I'm so blasé about this Cubs team, although they look a little bit better this year than last year, but I'm just so meh about it. Meh, like I'm an Arab. I'm so meh about it. Like you got to go in the back of your throat. The Cubs have addressed several holes on their roster, but third base remains open. The versatile Christopher Morel and his 30% strikeout rate. I added that one in.
Yeah.
He could figure
little editorial comment.
Yeah, Yard Barker's not going to include that. No, well, Christopher Morel has a chance to be in the mix, but he struggled late in the rookie season. You think so? Speaking of high strikeouts, Patrick Wisdom is also he's also involved, and maybe Nick Madrigal.
I'm not sure if he can throw it that far.
I don't think so either. I don't think he can reach.
Well, it's funny because I've always been the Nick Madrigal homer, but when I read that he was going to be at third base, I was like, can he throw it from there?
Can he reach? But I mean, and looking at the roster research, you still got Zach McKinstry, who is like kind of their super utility guy. I'm pretty sure he could play some third base, but
yeah, he played third base for him down the stretch last year.
But definitely, you don't want him doing it every day, otherwise you're back to where you started. Just quickly looking to see if there's any what do you call them? Minor league options. Sorry, and I don't see anybody worth noting. So. Who's listed right now as a third baseman right on roster resource? It is Patrick Wisdom and then Christopher Morel. But if you're going to go with this youth movement, I would assume it's Christopher Morel. But then you did give that contract to Patrick Wisdom, albeit a cheap contract. That you still
he got a multi-year deal?
Yeah, I think it was 5 years. It was like the cheapest contract ever. I forgot. And who knows? Maybe it's over by now. Oh, did we find out that JJ Negro is a knuckleballer?
He does throw a few every bullpen, but he says it's kind of annoying. He says people whenever they see him and they see his name, the first question they ask that he said is, "Do you throw a knuckleball?" And he said, "Well, I kind of throw one every now and then, like in a bullpen to make sure it doesn't get too much dust on it, but he tries not to throw it."
Understandably so. By the way, I'm playing this video game on my phone. Nothing too fancy. It's a baseball game. And they have several pitchers, the computer does, on different teams that throw knuckleballers, and it makes me scream. I don't like it. But anyway, back to third base with the Cubbies. I don't know. I would just put Christopher Morel in there and see what happens. But how do you see it go down?
I like, and this is kind of in the vein of I don't like Patrick Wisdom, but let's start this guy who's basically the same. Edwin Rios. Longtime Dodger platoon bat. Cubs picked him up this year. I mean, the guy has 20 career home runs and like 290 plate appearances. Like that's one every 13, 14 plate appearances. The power's legit. I'm just not sure if he defensively has the chops to play third base, but I mean, Patrick Wisdom has been terrible over there and he has played every day basically. So, I don't know. I like Edwin Rios. I always wish he got more of a chance in LA because he smacks the hell out of the ball. Maybe in some sort of platoon, probably, with either Wisdom or Madrigal or Morel. I don't know. I definitely don't think Morel is like a full-time player. I think he's like the utility, super tooled up, kind of plays everywhere. Yeah,
unfortunately, that's not on this team. On this team right now, as a fit, they kind of need him. But you did say you are going with Patrick Wisdom, though, right?
I was going with Edwin Rios.
Oh, Edwin Rios. Sorry. Yeah, I remember him. Yeah. And I'm a little distracted because now I can't find that contract on
Yeah,
Spot
I'm not.
Rack.
I'm not seeing a Patrick Wisdom deal. Are you thinking about David Bodie?
Yeah, sorry.
David Bodie had the 5-year deal, and it
Yeah,
was
my
like
bad.
5 years, 8 million, I think.
It was something
Um,
stupid. Never
it was like
mind.
something out of like the 1980s. It was a 1980s contract.
And
Oh,
and
okay,
now
so
he's in AAA. Yeah.
yeah, it was 5 years, 15 million. Um, with a $50,000 signing bonus. I don't think I've ever seen a signing bonus that low in a major league contract.
Why? I still don't get it. And this is around the time where you got Ian Happ and all those guys, Javier Baez.
And he's got 2 club options. So it could make it a 7-year, 14, a 7-year, $30 million contract.
I don't
But
get it.
they won't pick those up. So
It doesn't make no. You'd be surprised, man. Really, like this guy's a cheap player.
is he even on the 40-man roster anymore?
No, he's a
Yeah,
non-roster invitee to Cubs
jeez,
land right now.
So he's going to be in the minor leagues making $9 million.
Good for him, man. Good for him.
It makes those bus rides much more tolerable when you know you're making $9 million.
As he's battling, guys like Chase Strumpf and Nick Madrigal, and now he has to look at Jason Santana behind his back. You know what? Good for him. That's all I'm going to say. Good for him.
You got your money.
Got your money. That's all that matters. Get your money, boy. Diamondbacks, they got a closer by committee situation as well. And they Yard Barker has listed Mark Melanson, which makes me really scratch my head as to why.
Yeah, this entire one with the D-backs is kind of
Well, I mean, they got some guys, as Dave wants to say. They got some guys that can make plays. Kevin Ginkel, Joe Mantiply, or is it Mantiply? Miguel Castro and Scott McGough, I guess. I don't know.
He was the guy I think they got from like Japan, Korea, somewhere.
Oh, that's right. Yep, you're right. Well, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They got 5 guys listed on roster resource. I believe I did see Mark Melanson show up back in mid-February, and I decided not to add him to the list. I don't care if he comes out of camp with the closer's job.
I refuse to acknowledge you.
I don't want him. 38 years old, and he's looked terrible the last couple of years or so. I don't want him. I want nothing to do with him. I'd rather take a chance on Andrew Chafin or Kevin Ginkel. Even Joe Mantiply at the very worst can get you some holds in holds leagues. And Miguel Castro's the sexy pick now, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I've always liked Kevin Ginkel. He's always had pretty good upside. I remember he was a name that I learned playing out of the park baseball. He had a really high stuff rating, but it was either much like his real life tenure in the majors so far. He was either really good or really bad. So Ginkel's career ERA by year, he appeared in 25 games in 2019, had a 1.48 ERA, a whip under 1, 28 strikeouts in 24 innings. 2020 and 2021 were struggles, ERA over 6, whip of 2.1 and 1.5. Last year, kind of got back in rhythm, 3.3 ERA, 30 innings, 30 strikeouts, 1.3 whip, not great. But you're starting, I mean, he's got the high velocity fastball, really pretty good slider. So I like Ginkel, but I've always liked Miguel Castro as well. I just don't think Castro has the control to ever be a trusted high leverage closer. So I don't think
Kevin Ginkel for you.
Kevin Ginkel, dark horse Jerry's Familia, because he's there too.
Wow, they got bring back all the Mets. Make the Diamondbacks 20.
They have the 2015, 2014 like elite closers with Melanson and Familia. Somebody said they should sign Archie Bradley.
Oh God, no! Let's not do that again. I'm gonna go with Andrew Chafin. Just he's seems to be the steady of all the arms there, with the high strikeout rate and the ability to limit his walks as well. He's projected to get the lowest whip on that team as well, according to ATC ranking projections, I should say. And at the very least, he'll get you 16 holds. At the very least, I think he's going to be used a lot this year because Diamondbacks are on the cusp of competing. They're on my surprise team of 2023 in the National League. And I think they're going to turn heads. And I think they're going to be in games. They're going to be so competitive. And Andrew Chafin, in a perfect world, would be the 9th inning guy in my world. but I have a feeling that at the very least you're going to get a lot of holds. I'm talking like league leading holds out of Andrew Chafin. And
you see, I worry about Chafin's hold numbers this year because Mansupply was that guy last year that got a lot of their
yeah, but
holds.
he wasn't that good, man.
Yeah, he was pretty good.
Not that good. Like,
he was
wasn't
pretty good.
No, he was. I had Joe Mantiply several times last year, and he just every time I picked him up, he sucked. And I mean, come on, 9.15 strikeout per nine. That's.
I mean, it's not much higher than. I think that is higher than Chafin's.
No. I'm talking about when compared to every relief pitcher available at that time. That's low. I'll give him this. He really does a great job controlling his walks. I don't. Oh wait, his walks. His walks matches home run per nine, which is really crazy.
Okay.
Less than 1 per 9 innings.
I mean, him and Chafin were basically identical last year. Chafin did have a 10.5 K per 9 to his only 9, but I mean, they were damn near identical across the board. 2.85 ERA to 2.83. FIP and XFIP are real close. Expected ERA real close.
But I gave him a couple of chances last year, and every time I picked them up, and as you can see, this is where the frustration comes in, where you get attached to some players, and then you have this bad taste in your mouth for certain players. And right now, Joe Mantiply is in my doghouse because every time I picked him up, he shit the bed.
Yeah,
that's what happened.
He had 22 holds last year to Chafin's 19. Chafin had 3 saves. Mantiply had 2. So it's one of those situations where even if you play in a holds league, I feel like having those guys on the same team this year, it kind of hurts because both of those guys were some of the best holds, collectors over the last few or over last year. But now on the same team, will they get as many? Granted, you can have as many holds as pitchers as long as you have the lead or whatever the rule for it is. I think 3 runs.
Oh wow!
But I it's like multiple guys can get holds in a game, but will they be willing to use, since they're both lefties? Like, you would think they could try and alternate the games that they use them to always have that high leverage lefty available.
Mm-hmm.
So should be interesting how they utilize them.
It's the same thing. They're going to compete more. And like I said, I have a bad taste in my mouth for Joe Mantiply, but there's no denying that he was pretty productive those times that I didn't pick him up, apparently. But I mean, Joe Mantiply was tied for 11th. So on the outside looking in the top 10, Joe Mantiply was tied with 11 in 11th place in holds.
Hey, he was their all-star last year.
Oh God. And Andrew Chafin was tied for 21st in holds, and he's right there with some of the big names that we have heralded on this podcast. Yep. Evan Phillips, Trevor Stephen, or is it Steven? And Adam Simber, who is a long-time favorite of mine when he was with the Padres. Stephen O'Kurt, who is a guy I'm keeping an eye on for the Marlins this season. One of the many Luis Garcias in Major League Baseball. This guy plays for the Padres, who was also there, and Dennis Santana. Which, it's not his fault he plays for the Rangers. And ahead of guys like established names like Yohan Duran, Adam Ottavino, Matt Bush, not Matt Bush, no, my former podcast partner, but Matt Bush. So either way, I do believe that both teams, both guys can be useful. Even in 5x5, at the very least, you'll get, well, maybe not 5x5, but definitely holds leagues for sure. And
I think we're both on this one. Anyone but Mark Melancon. That's the true answer here. Anyone but Mark Melancon.
All right.
Because if they name him closer, people you have to draft him. And nobody wants
you don't. No, you don't. No. If you draft,
somebody has to draft.
Well,
him.
they're stupid. Okay.
Yeah.
If you end up drafting Mark Melancon, don't blame us. We're telling you right now, do not draft. You might as well get Daniel Bard. You get the same results, but less headaches.
Oh God,
Daniel Bard
and you'll get more strikeouts,
more walks, but you'll get
whatever
more blown saves from Mark Melancon. Why would you do that to yourself? Anyway, Diamondbacks fifth rotation. This is an interesting one though. This is much more interesting than the bullpen.
I like this one.
They got guys like Ryan Nelson, Dre Jameson, and Brandon Pafat. That's what we're calling him here? Like he's the Pfizer of the Diamondbacks.
Oh,
Pafat. The hell was that?
I'm just laughing.
Oh, it sounded like you were drowning.
A little bit.
Did you drink water? Is that what happened?
Yes, I'm hydrating.
So all 3 guys, well, 2 of those guys were on my prospects list, and then I decided that I was going to add Dre Jameson into my spot starter list. So get him out of the. But all these guys are interesting names. They all come highly graded from Fangraphs. I have a bias towards Ryan Nelson because he did help me out late in the year last year in fantasy leagues. Not to say that the other guys are not useful. And there could be a scenario where Diamondbacks realize, we're starting Zach Davies every 5 days. Why are we doing that to ourselves?
Well, they just gave him a new contract too.
I don't care. Now, if he struggles, you think they're gonna give him a chance? They're gonna keep holding back Dre Jamison and Brandon Pfaadt just to justify that Zach Davies contract. Same thing with Madison Bumgarner. Same thing with Merrill Kelly. No, man, I have a good feeling that at least two of these guys are gonna be full-time starters by the time the year ends. Yeah. But I'm gonna go with Ryan Nelson as my guy to get that fifth starting spot. Do you see it the same way or no?
I think to start the year, it's probably Ryan Nelson, but I really like Brandon Pfaadt. I really like him. The only thing that's working against him is he's currently not on the 40-man roster. Dre Jamison is somebody that is, as was Ryan Nelson. Obviously, they both pitched last year, and they both pitched to pretty good success after having some struggles in AAA, which is something that Brandon Pfaadt didn't have compared to Nelson. Because I was actually really in on Nelson and then kind of gave up because the AAA numbers were just really bad. And I know it's the PCL, and I try and, take that for what it is, but it was like the strikeouts just plummeted. Yeah, I think in the end it's Brandon Pfaadt, but Ryan Nelson's probably keeping the spot warm.
All right, let's quickly move on. We have the Dodgers, and this is where I have it ending on my cheat sheet, but it looks like we have a little bit more time. We'll see. Let's see how far we can move. Yeah, the Dodgers are an interesting team. No more Kenley Jansen, no more Craig Kimbrell. And now it's time for a lot of the relievers. I mean, if you listen to this podcast the last 2 or 3 years, you would say, right?
Yeah.
If you listen to this podcast, all we do is just sing the praises of the Dodgers bullpen outside of
just look at some of these names. Like, they're all like rejects from other teams.
The Devils rejects?
And now they're just like studs. And I mean, some of them had potential, like Brusdar Graterol. Yeah. But the Twins definitely kind of, I don't want to say gave up because they did. It was the Kenta Maeda deal. But it just seemed like they didn't want to have to deal with, do we start him? Do we put him in the bullpen? He only has 2 pitches. We don't know about his command. But all of these other guys were giving up rejects from their original teams. Shelby Miller, of course, has had his injury problems. He comes in. Jimmy Nelson, same thing. Really good pitcher, had injury problems. He comes in. Yency Almonte, great stuff in Colorado. Could never figure it out over there. Comes to LA last year and has like a ERA between like under 2, I think, or it was right around 2. Caleb Ferguson, he's actually, I think, the only homegrown one.
Sounds right.
Yeah. Alex Vesia was high strikeout guy from the Miami system, got put on waivers. LA scooped him up immediately. Graterol, Evan Phillips brought on waivers from Tampa after Tampa picked him up on waivers. So they probably saw roughly the same thing there with those two teams. And then Daniel Hudson, who's kind of been around for
a long time.
But I mean, nobody ever was like, oh, let me go get Daniel Hudson.
No, he
debuted in 2009.
Yeah, he was a highly regarded starting pitching prospect for the White Sox, and I think it was the Diamondbacks. I think it was the Diamondbacks, and they tried to give him a chance as a starter. That didn't pan out. And let me see, as I'm kind of just going off of memory, but maybe it's a good idea to just go into his page and see what happened here.
Yeah, he's been relieving since 2014, 2015.
Wow. So the Diamondbacks gave up on him starting. Wow. I
kind of remember that, though. Like,
that was a home runs.
I do remember that.
It was the home runs because he doesn't walk a lot of guys. The strikeouts were pretty respectable, but gives up a lot of home runs, a lot of bad luck. But regardless, they don't care about that. Not enough ground ball rate back in 2012 when they tried to give him. Oh, and then he got hurt, I think, because there's like missing 2013. So he must have gotten Tommy John surgery or some sort of surgery. Comes back in 2014 and just made his career as a reliever ever since. This is his second stint with the Dodgers. It says that he was with 2 teams in 2019. Who were
that? Was he ended up with the Nationals? Yeah,
that's right.
He was the big bullpen piece for them.
That's right. That was he the guy who saved he got the last out for them in Game 7.
Possibly, because I do want to say, like, It was either that year or the next year after that he got a pretty good, healthy contract.
All right. Well, some veteran grit on this team with Daniel Hudson. And then Sean, I mean, let's take a look at who's injured though. And I don't know when these guys are supposed to be coming back, but they've been on the shelf for a while now. And you got JP Feyer-Reason.
Yeah, oh my, the fact that they were able to get away with that is just the Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad. They can't keep getting away with it because JP Firesign is so damn good. So freaking good. I know he's hurt, but he's so damn good.
A little bit of history there, probably with Andrew Friedman in Los Angeles. Former Cardinals fireballer Alex Reyes.
Yep.
Only 28 years old still.
Man, if they can somehow fix him, that's a frightening thing.
And all reliable Blake Trinan, but he's going to be 35 this year, so who knows what they could do with him. And then, of course, that vaunted minor league system of theirs. I'm trying to see who would come in and maybe relief. Maybe Robbie Erlin as a lefty. Maybe Jordan Yamamoto is on that team still, or maybe Ryan Pepio could, do some bullpen time while they try to give him some major league appearances. Let's see. Phil Bickford is still on the team. Victor Gonzalez is still on the team.
That was a lot of their homegrown guys that I think they've since recently booted off the 40-man, but were able to keep, which is like you would think if the Dodgers took time to develop these guys, maybe some other team would just take the chance. I don't know, but
another former Ray, Matt Andrisi. Pretty sure there's an Andrew Friedman connection there.
No.
Ruby De La Rosa, you remember him?
Oh, I remember when he was a prospect.
Yeah. So he's down in the bullpen in AAA, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of mixed roles there. But we go back to the major league team. We need to pick one. Although it is the Dodgers, I wouldn't be surprised if they just go by committee. But ultimately, there's always got to be one guy to stand out over the others. My pick, I would just give it to Evan Phillips and let him run with it. We love him around these parts. We have sung his praises. He was on at the top of our relief pitching ranking. Well, not yours, but my relief pitcher rankings, and you kind of confirmed. Yeah, that looks about right. Evan Phillips is really good. Do you like Evan Phillips to be the guy who wins out, or do you see it someone else?
I think they view Phillips as too valuable. I think they know he's their best relief pitcher, which makes me think that he's not the closer. The traditional quote unquote closer, I think, goes to Brewstar. And Evan Phillips picks up that kind of okay, we need an out, get out there and get it. I think that's the role for Evan Phillips.
Yeah, I like that. I like that too. But, I like to reward the guys who perform. That would be me. I don't care. The ninth inning guy is the guy that gets the biggest spotlight, gets the most money, and ultimately is the best relief pitcher on the team, for better or for worse. Until, you saw who was the one guy who got ridiculed in arbitration? And
Ryan Thompson.
It was Ryan Thompson.
Yeah.
It was a Rays, right?
Yeah. Yep.
They dismissed the holds. No shit. Of course the Rays would do that. And then they dismissed leverage, but then they went ahead and cited something from stupid Fangraphs called meltdowns, which is kind of weird because I would think that would tie in with leverage, right?
Yeah.
But apparently the Rays cited that. So, Your Honor, this guy.
It's actually honors. There's 3 of them.
If it pleases the court of arbitration here, Your Honors. Although, albeit traditionally speaking, he was pretty darn good, but Holtz, we all know those are fake numbers. The real numbers are in the other fake numbers. And Your honors, you could see that he led the league in meltdowns. Okay, and
he's a toddler or something.
Yeah, exactly.
He had a meltdown.
I think I saw that as in a comment too. He leads the league in meltdowns for toddlers above the age of 30 years old. But it was kind of weird to see that a team like the Rays, who are known for, this advanced analytics stuff, they just go ahead and dismiss leverage. Yeah. And it just makes me wonder, how did they dismiss leverage? And isn't that what it's all about? But then they have the audacity to cite something like meltdowns, which I want to say it does play into the whole thing idea about leverage, shutdowns and meltdowns, right?
Well, I think the criteria for meltdowns is a certain amount of innings pitched or less, with a certain amount of runs or more. So I don't think it's like a whole like it's not tied to the leverage score, but it's more of just like a descriptive like quality start. I think it's something to do with that, and that's how it's come up with.
Listen, man, all those stats, when you talk about meltdowns and shutdowns, and because I think they also cited WPA, and I think Ryan Thompson, I'm not seeing him on the leaderboard here. I honestly, I'm trying to blank as to if he was
it's
good
like
or
the
not.
weird thing with him is like he was part starter, part reliever, so it's always like one of those like he can't say, oh, I'm a really good reliever,
Yeah.
or like I'm not a great reliever and I'm not a great starter, and so the Rays can kind of take advantage of that. Oh, actually, he's only started one game.
One game, yeah.
I thought he pitched more. They
You
had
might be-
another Yarborough.
No.
Am I thinking about Yarborough?
Ryan Yarbrough, Johnny Chirinos, or you might be thinking about the 20 I forgot the 20 Zach Thompsons in Major League Baseball.
So yeah, Ryan Thompson. So I'm thinking of a totally different guy. So he's
Zach
reliever.
Thompson.
Yeah, exactly. I think I was honestly thinking Ryan Yarborough, but
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Here, WPA last year, Sean, he was at negative 0.96. So that'll work against his favor. He did have 15 meltdowns last year as well. We don't use that.
An ever increasing number of meltdowns. He had 8 in 2020, 10 in 2021, 15 in 2022.
Your Honors,
I could see the Rays. He's getting worse.
Your Honors, we're just doing him a favor right now by offering him this contract, let alone wanting him to be on the roster. But
the Astros literally said that with Jason Castro. I think I know I mentioned that entire story last year, but they said something to that effect of like, we even think he should get less, but this is what we're offering. Yeah, and I was just like, oh my God.
It pleases the court, Your Honors. We're trying our best here, but we just, we can only do so much. We can't help the boy. The 31-year-old guy, he's going to be 31 this year. We can't help out the boy. He's just not that good. But, there's obviously it's not worth the $1 million that he's at. Was he asking for $1 million?
It was like 1.2, and they offered 1.0 or something like that.
God.
It was over like 200K, I think.
He pitched in 40. So he didn't even qualify. So I have to, how many innings did he pitch?
He 42. Had 42.
So I have
2/3.
I wanted to see what this means. So I got to drop it down to 40 innings pitch minimum. How are we doing on time? Okay, I think we're doing pretty good. Meltdown. So, by the way, leading the league last year was Brad Boxberger, Griffin Jacks, Jake
Interesting, because Boxberger, I think, had like a pretty good year. Like, it was like a comeback year for him.
Yeah, well, he also had 35 shutdowns. So,
he had a 2.95 ERA. So to have the most meltdowns and.
But he also had 35 shutdowns. So you take the good with the bad, right? That's a 2-to-1 ratio right there. Griffin Jacks also led the league in meltdowns at 17, along with Jake Diekman, who's also been a pretty reliable relief pitcher for most of his career. And our guy, Tanner Scott. One day, man. One day.
I'm telling you, Tanner Scott just needs to become Jake Diekman. I mean, I like that's literally the lefty with no command, really good stuff. Like, and Jake Diekman has a career walks per 9 above 5, and he's been in the big leagues for a decade. Like how? Because he's a left-hander that throws the ball hard, and 10 years of service time. He is fully vested MLB pension. Congrats to Jake Diekman. Holy hell, that's wild.
Really quick, all these guys I'm going to name not only had more than 15 meltdowns last year, but they also had negative WPAs, win probability added. So these are all storyline statistics, as I was trying to mention. Ryan Brazier, Tyler Rogers, Rowan Wick,
that's
Richard Blyer. So far, these are guys that I would have, maybe not Ryan Brazier, because for some reason I still believe in him. But these are all guys that I would have recommended to not pick up on your teams, right? Ryan Thompson. We just talked about it. And this is the reason why I'm so mad at Joe Mantiply, who also shows up on this list. 15 meltdowns last year, negative 0.74 WPA. I told you he sucked. I told you. Dennis Santana, who we also mentioned earlier on this podcast, and I never trusted him. I forgot why he was mentioned. He must have led something in something. Holds, I think, maybe,
He
right?
must have led something in something.
Gregory Soto. So have fun with that, Philadelphia.
Oh God.
Joey Crefbeal from the Baltimore Orioles. I told you the Orioles suck. Our guy Tanner Scott, who, when I sort this, I think he might have led the league in negative WPA last year. We're gonna check that out. And Jake Diekman.
Okay, so I was completely wrong. Shutdowns and meltdowns are tied directly, not to leverage, but to WPA.
Yeah.
So meltdown is.
But you would think that those stats do have something to do with leverage, because you got to be brought in high leverage situations to see that get shifted positively or negatively to the extreme. So anyway, the leader of negative WPA was some guy named John King and Joel Payamps and Will Crow were at him. The only three guys who had more than -2, or would that be less than -2? Yeah, less than -2. And then there's our guy Tanner Scott in 4th place. So interesting statistics that we don't normally use, but since the Rays are going to use them, Sean, we should use them too, right?
Yeah, totally.
Oh, there's our guy Mark Melanson, 6. You know what? The Rays have it right. Meltdowns, negative WPA, they can't be trusted. These storyline statistics, they might have some merit, especially when it comes. There's Craig Kimbrell, number 11. Anyway, I'm gonna get lost in a sea of numbers if I keep doing this. So anyway, okay, we're done with the Dodgers closer situation. Now we go to left field. Why? Because that's who's playing. Trace Thompson. Oh God. James Outman.
This is the James Outman show. Please don't play Jason Hayward. Please, for the love of God, do not play Jason Hayward.
If the team decides to give Miguel Rojas, which they should. Oh wait, no, I don't want.
You want Miguel Vargas.
Miguel Vargas, thank you very much. If they get him significant playing time in the infield, Miguel Vargas could also shift from second base to left field. What?
No, give it to James Outman. Give it to James Outman.
Yeah, and that's a name that was mentioned a lot, and I wasn't paying attention because I didn't care about James Outman. I mean, come on, dude. That's the worst baseball name you can have for a hitter.
You're out, man.
You're out, man. No, and of course that goes with the worst name you can give to a relief pitcher, Will. Oh man.
But no, Outman last year, for those that weren't really paying attention, he hit 31 home runs between 115 or 125. I can't do math. I think that's 125. Yeah, 31 home runs, 125 games between AA and AAA last year. The strikeout rate was between 29% at AA, 25% at AAA. Stole 13 bases, only caught, I believe, 3 times. Batted 290, 390 on base at both levels. Slugging went from 550 in AA to 630 in AAA. And he did get a cup of coffee last year.
With the 40, I was going to just quickly mention the 43.8 strikeout rate that he had last year.
We don't pay attention to that. We pay attention to his Major League game log.
Well, Sean, really, before you go into that, Sean, I mean, you're the same guy who raises the red flag on anybody who has strikeout rates above 25% in the minors, and this guy has nothing but.
It was 4 games.
No. In the minors, he had nothing.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's high.
It's high, but still, I want him. He should be. Well, right now he's listed in AAA with but
it's also healthy walk rates, and while they were high, they never spiked. Like
he's the Joey Gallo of that team. They had Joey Gallo, and then decided they're gonna give a younger version of Joey Gallo a chance. Right now, it's a wealth of riches in LA with their outfield. They have Andy Pages. Well, apparently it's Andy Pages, according to Eno Saris. Remember Brad Zimmer? He's on this team. Steven Duggar, remember him from the Giants? He's on this team in AAA. They still got Yusniel Diaz, a 26-year-old free agent from Baltimore. Oh yeah, I remember him now.
Yeah, that was the Manny Machado trade. He was the top piece in that deal, and now he's
back.
He's always been there.
Oh! I'm sorry. I thought.
No, wait. He's on the Dodgers.
Yeah.
No,
I'm looking at it. He's on the Dodgers.
That can't be the same guy.
You think there's like 20 US? Oh, it's possible.
Oh, it might be, because I do want to say he was a minor league free agent.
Oh yeah. Dodgers,
oh my God,
Orioles,
it is him.
And they brought him back. They brought him back.
Baltimore, what are you doing?
And this is the team you guys want me to fall in love with? I swear to God.
What a God. And they gave him like 5 guys in that trade, and none of them were good.
That's why I'm okay. That's what you just go ahead and get the player you want and just trade all your bum ass prospects. They're not going to amount to anything most of the time, right?
I think that was the same. Well, I don't think it was the same offseason or same trade deadline. Remember, they traded Jordan Alvarez for what was it? Josh Fields.
Who, the Dodgers?
Yeah. That was a yikes trade.
No, well, they needed someone to come out of the bullpen because they had no bullpen.
now they have too much bullpen.
Because they play for keeps in LA, all right? They play for keeps. And then, they did mention, you're right, Eno Saris and DVR in the Rates and Barrels podcast, they did mention James Outman a lot on the last episode, and I just wasn't paying attention because I'm not interested in that. So I'm not interested in a guy named Outman, but now you're on board with him despite the high strikeout rates. Got it.
Yeah. It's really more of the really solid. If you look at his batted ball data in terms of the line drive percentage, he's not too pull heavy. The good, and it's solid line drive. And he hit like 3 home. What was his? I had to go off of it, but let me pull it up from his game log. He was a guy who started off his career in Colorado. He went 3 for 4 with a home run and a double. Really good, and then played a 3-game series. Got 2 hits and then 1 hit. He's a good hitter. He might strike out a little bit, but hey, he grows out of it. He'll grow out of it.
Well,
his name's James Outman, not James Strikeout Man.
No, it's all out. They're all outs, man. They're not good at all.
All outs are not the same.
All outs are not good. I don't care. It's an out at the end of the day. That's an innings pitch for a starting pitcher, okay? And that's all that matters. Right now, David Peralta is listed as a left fielder. Trace Thompson at center field, and then at right field, Mookie Betts, obviously.
Yeah, I was going to say, was this article written before this was? It was updated a day ago.
And I
forgot David Peralta's out there.
The article's from 2 days ago. So, for a team that is in win now mode and has a high payroll, this team's doesn't look that good.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was the same thing with them last year. Is if you looked at the Dodgers lineup last year, it was like kind of ugly. I mean, you Trace Thompson started like over 100 games.
Yeah.
Like I need to go back and just look at it, but it was a ugly roster, and they still won 100 and something games.
Really remarkable what they do over there. That's why I sometimes dream that he is me. I just want to be Andrew Friedman, man. I wish I could be Andrew Friedman. I'm pretty sure Andrew Friedman would be like, "No, man, nobody wants to be me. And you wouldn't want this. You wouldn't want this."
Chris Taylor wasn't good. Bellinger wasn't good. Justin Turner was okay, but had a really bad down year. Trace Thompson appeared in 74 games, had a 901 OPS. Don't ask me how.
I remember that.
But I mean, Jake Lamb appeared in 25 games. Kevin Pillar played in a few. Hanser Alberto played in 73 games.
Your guy.
Oh yeah, the lefty killer. But it was just outside of Freeman, Betts, Will Smith, which I know
getting jiggy with it.
You can't really ignore them. But it's outside of those 3, you looked at the lineup and you're like, they're not that good. But they just won. They didn't give up runs. Their pitching was that good.
Dark horse candidate to play left field. Are you ready? J.D. Martinez. They're gonna give him a glove. Really quick, Sean. So speaking of which, might as well ask you. I've been avoiding Justin Turner, Max Muncy, J.D. Martinez in a lot of my mock drafts. Is that a good idea or bad idea? Are you picking up shares of any of those 3 guys?
Did you say Justin Turner?
I know he plays for the Red Sox. Now,
but
okay. He's always available.
I'm more interested in Justin Turner because of the monster. JD Martinez could have some sort of resurrection with his hitting guru coach out there. Max Muncy used to be my favorite, out of any of those guys, but I don't know. I just don't think he's healthy. He's been dealing with all those arm problems, and I just don't think he's healthy.
Because a lot of, Max Muncy's still listed as a top 10 second baseman, maybe even top 10, top 12 third baseman as well. And once it gets down to Max Muncy, that to me, that's when the dead zone starts at those positions. And I just said, you know what? I'm gonna wait. I am not interested in Max Muncy, and I'll just concentrate on other areas that my team needs.
Because we
And
thought 2020 was just like the aberration where, he batted under 200. He did it again this year. And and there wasn't the home runs. Like, it was 21 home runs. Like, I can get 21 home runs everywhere with the batting average 40 points higher, but it's just streaming, guys.
I can get 21 home runs from Drake.
Yeah.
Just brings in 21 Savage. But listen, man, no, I mean, he always had the hitting profile, right? He always had the hitting profile that, it's a boom or bust type of player. And when it was working great.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to deal with that this year. When there's such better, younger options at middle infield, even third base, who can give you a little bit more batting average, won't kill you with the strikeouts, have a higher on base percentage, because even Muncy, if I remember correctly, even his on base percentage has been dipping the last 3 years or so. I know that the Tommy John, what did he ever get he got the surgery, right? The Tommy John.
Okay, so that's because that was at the end of the 2021 season.
Yeah, that messed up
Did he have it at?
I don't remember, but he kept playing.
Yeah, how many games did he play in last year? I don't think that's the easiest way to find this.
Well, he had 565 plate appearances last year. 565.
Because I can't remember if he got the surgery or not.
I thought he did,
but in this article that I was reading, it did say that his offseason was way different, I guess, from possibly rehabbing. So let me just confirm that he had the surgery.
But was he in the best shape of his life?
The best. Jesus Christ.
Round.
Yeah, I'm seeing all of these elbow injury, but Max Muncy did not require surgery. So I think he just tried to rehab it last year.
That's crazy.
And now he says he's completely healthy.
Best shape of his life is elbows. Got it.
After a couple of setback seasons due to injury, infielder Max Muncy is feeling confident this offseason, heading into the upcoming season.
And do you still believe in JD Martinez? Oh, I think you said that.
Yeah, like he could. I don't know. He's the wild card. He could go off and have Silver Slugger type season, or he could just continue on that downward trend that we've been seeing.
All right. I'm just getting your messages now, so I don't want to go too far, but let's just go lightning round. Giants third baseman. Who do you like there?
I like Casey Schmidt, the prospect. Has the best glove out of all of them. Hit a home run in the first spring training game yesterday. And then I also like JD Davis on the opposite side of the diamond. I think he's going to take over first base.
Okay. Giants fifth starter.
They signed Manaea, right? So
yeah, signing Manaea and Ross Stripling. 7 starting pitchers with Alex Wood, Anthony Desclafani, and Jacob Junis also fighting for starts.
Somebody will get hurt. All of those names, somebody will get hurt. It'll figure itself out.
And as you know, I'm high on Ross Stripling. Maybe not so much on Sean Manaea. Alex Wood always lets me down, but anyway. The Guardians catcher, Bo Naylor. Mike Zunino, it looks like.
Yeah, that's like one of those just hand holding. I don't think that's a position battle. I think that's hand holding.
All right, let's move on then. Marlins fifth starter is listed as well. That should have been an interesting one. But what does Roster Resource have? Roster Resource has Trevor Rogers as the fifth starter, but obviously
over
they have
Cabrera.
Well, Edward Cabrera is 4.
Oh,
SP4. So it really is.
It was Cueto SP3 or SP2.
Cueto listed.
Okay, so who's out?
Cueto is SP2. Yeah.
So who are they taking out? Are they?
There's Braxton Garrett, and they still got to make room for Yuri Perez. I know he's too young, but it looks like they might just bring him up. And they got some guys down there. That's a pretty impressive.
So Braxton Garrett's the one on the outside. Then, and then Max Meyer and Sixto are hurt.
Oh, and the article is not even saying fifth starter entirely. It's saying maybe the last 2 spots.
Okay.
That go to either Cabrera, Trevor Rogers, Braxton Garrett, even top prospect Yuri Perez. Yeah. I think it's.
I don't think Yuri's making the team out of camp.
He's not.
I think he gets called up. I could even see them possibly, like if Cueto's off to a hot start, or if someone like Edward Cabrera continues to kind of improve, I could see them trying to get more help mid-season and then call up Yuri Perez to take that spot.
I think you got to go with Eric Carrera and Trevor Rogers, and then just trade Trevor Rogers when you get a chance, and see if he can flourish in the 5th spot, and then you can bring in Braxton Garrett as your spot starter, or you go ahead and give the job to Yuri Perez like you want. They obviously want to give it to him.
Yeah.
Because they, you know what it is, Sean. I know that he's too young and stuff, and I know you don't believe in that, but I think I'm hearing way too many positives out of Miami about him, and everything you read and see, and the chances that they're giving him, it just sounds like they're ready to bring him up already. Yeah. But we'll see.
The only issue is innings pitch. He threw 78 in 2021, 77 last year, so it's just kind of trying to build him up and not do anything drastic to him.
Your team, the Mets, so they have a catching position going on here. Francisco Alvarez on the outside looking in, it looks like. Omar Narvaez.
It's gonna be a Narvaez Nito platoon to start. Alvarez probably gonna start the year off in AAA.
Mets third base, and I'm sorry that we're not giving more detail to your favorite team, but lightning round, right? I guess they got Matt Beatty in the competition, and then there's also Eduardo Escobar. Who else is listed? I guess Jeff McNeil can still play some third base if need be.
They don't want to play Jeff McNeil third base. He does not have the arm. We joke about Nick Madrigal. McNeil does not have the arm for third base. This is the one I'm actually going to flip-flop compared to Alvarez. I think Beatty has a legit shot, and I think it's in the Mets' best interest to start Beatty there. And so far this year, he's showing why. In the inter-squad game, he went 2 for 2 with one kind of soft liner and one deep opposite field double. Both went to opposite field. As this is something that we've heard about Brett Beatty, and I've seen when I watch him on minor league TV, that he does have very easy power to the opposite field. And then yesterday versus the Astros, went 2 for 2 with a walk and as well as a home run. So a hot spring, I could see him doing very much the Pete Alonso thing, where he just kind of you're not leaving camp without me type deal, which would force Eduardo Escobar into it like a platoon at third base versus lefties, or playing a little bit of DH versus lefties for Vogelbach as well. But yeah, Brett Beatty, I think if they carry him from day one and he wins National League Rookie of the Year, that would give the Mets an actual first-round pick, because like the Dodgers last year, the Mets won't have a real first-round pick this year, with their first pick being moved back 10. So if he's called up there on day one and wins Rookie of the Year, the Mets get that compensation pick from the new CBA.
Really quick, I just noticed Henry, you putting down when we were talking about relief pitchers, the category meltdown is such a terrible term for arbitration hearings, and and I don't know what he means by that, but it's kind of funny to. Unless it's part of the whole spiel about what is he, a toddler?
I think that's what he's going for.
As someone who has a toddler, those meltdowns.
This grown man had a meltdown. He has too many of them.
Yeah, he literally was the Wicked Witch of the East. He was melting, and there was nothing we could do about it. Philly's fifth starters. There's a team near and dear to your heart. Either Bailey Falter, who I think we all giggled last year when it was mentioned that Bailey Falter might come in as a starting pitcher. No, we giggled when it was the idea was thrown about that he might actually start in the World Series for the Phillies out of desperation. So, but apparently he's a control artist, which, all right, I guess.
If you want to give him that.
I don't believe in him, but that's fine. You want to believe in him. Or we bring up Andrew Painter. There's no way on God's green earth they're going to bring up Andrew Painter.
Yeah.
No way.
There's so much chatter about people like, oh, Andrew Painter. He's not breaking camp. There's no way. And if he is, I will do something outlandish as like a punishment. There's no way it's going to happen.
Can I pick the punishment?
No.
Yes, the punishment should be you have to wear a Lenny Dykstra 1993 Philadelphia vintage jersey.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the article, I'll give them this. So far in his major league career, he has a 1.76 walks per 9. And in the minors, he was always in 1.5. So
yeah, but he's pitch to contact pitcher. It is what it is. 96 hit.
He's boring.
Yeah, very not even oatmeal. What would you describe him as?
Porridge. He puts the pour in porridge.
God damn. He gave up 85 hits and 84 innings pitched last year.
Yeah.
Well, what's the problem there, Felipe? Well, Ranger Suarez, 149 hits in 155 innings.
Well, I mean,
Taiwan Walker.
he's already set for that. I mean,
No, I'm just
yeah.
giving comparison. 143 in 157 innings for Taiwan Walker, and then the elite pitchers on his team. 125 hits versus 153 innings for Zach Wheeler, and 168 hits versus 205 innings pitched for Aaron Nola. So that's what we're talking about.
I do think the interesting thing with him is, although the stuff is not very good, he gets like some of the best extension in baseball. So the stuff
Barely
like
falter.
when you're looking at like the velo numbers, you're like meh. But I want to say he pushes off further from that mound than anyone, and he's pretty tall. He's like 6'5". So the stuff does play up a little bit.
Over at DH, Bryce Harper gone for half the season, recovering from Tommy John surgery, right? That's what the big one is.
Yep.
And Derek Hall might get a chance, it looks like, according to the article. Cody Clemens, Dalton Guthrie, and J.K. Wow, that is garbage.
Yeah.
That is.
I mean, Derek Hall was the one who filled in last year and did pretty good, but they, treated him very much straight platoon. Cody Clemens is kind of in that same category. This is why I'm a little worried in terms of like the Phillies, and people talk about, oh, the Phillies offense is so good. Yeah, the Phillies offense is still pretty good. But until Bryce Harper is in there every day,
yeah,
it's kind of a shaky lineup.
No, it's top heavy when Bryce Harper's now, and it's even more top heavier now that he's gone. And this looks,
and especially because Nick Castellanos hasn't done anything for like 2 years.
Well, he did improve his defense a little bit last year down, didn't he? Let me frame this. There's a video on YouTube. YouTube keeps telling me I should watch this video about the Phillies using analytics to improve their defense just enough to get by, right?
Just enough to get by.
And one of the arguments, and I refuse to watch this video because I feel like it's going to go against all my baseball sensibilities, but it might be time to just suck it up and watch it. But one of the arguments they make about Nick Castellanos is the big difference for that they did with Nick Castellanos was that they shaded him towards center field because they noticed that when he goes towards his glove side, he is more likely to make catches as opposed to when he goes towards his arm side. So that's why they want him running towards his left, so the glove can be stuck out, and he can just
okay,
they can just catch it,
as weird,
opposed to going over the top like this, and now he can't see the ball and he's losing track, and he can't chew gum and walk at the same time. Remember, this guy always a bad fielder.
Yeah, I was saying, you know what this sounds like? He just shouldn't be in the outfield.
Oh, but desperation, right?
Yeah.
They're desperate, and that's what happens. But they made it to the World Series last year against what we thought were better teams last year. The Padres, I thought were better, even though the Padres had a lot of holes in their lineup as well. I thought the Padres were much better than that, but I guess not. Who else did they beat? They beat the Dodgers or the Mets?
They beat the Cardinals.
Oh, they beat the Cardinals. All right, moving on. But no, this team's not looking good. And then I guess what are we looking at the minors? I mean, there's Jake Cave in the outfield.
There's not much.
Yeah, there's Jalen Ortiz. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Anyway, I don't like this situation. Pirates second base. Pirates. All right, let's see. With intriguing offensive alternatives in Rodolfo Castro and Ji-Hwan Bae, Castro brings power. Bae is more of a batting average and speed. That's my guy.
I mean, if they want to threaten the strikeout record with Cruz and everybody else in that lineup, go with Rodolfo Castro. But Rodolfo Castro is kind of like Jazz Chisholm light. There's a little something there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't want to talk about the Pirates second baseman.
No, I want to say
they're probably better than the White Sox second baseman.
Well, we'll see. We'll see when we get there. But I have Ji-Hwan Bae in our Baseball Life League, and all he does is perform in the minors. At least he's shown that he can perform in the minors enough where a lot of the skill set, a lot of the production that he has shown in AAA so far, and even in AA, can transfer over to the major leagues. There's a lot to like about his game. It's not the sexiest game of all time, but it's definitely game. He finished a year last year with a 139 WRC plus and only 37 plate appearances. So that would be my guy. I think that's the study of the choice between the two. But anyway, we move on to Cincinnati. Golly, Pirates, Reds. I mean, no.
Just no.
Just no. But
no.
Who's on? Kevin Newman.
Yeah, Kevin Newman,
a Pirates reject.
the wannabe David Fletcher. And you know it's bad when you can't even be David Fletcher.
All right, let's move on then. Red Sox fifth starter. Well, our guy Tanner Hoek is he's never going to get a chance in Boston. He's never going to get a chance.
I have no clue what they're doing.
Well, Garrett Whitlock, they still believe that he could be the guy there. So he's in the lead according to roster resource. And again, unless you want to count Cutter Crawford, he started last year as well, a few games here and there. Tanner Hoek, who's now planted firmly according to roster resource as a late inning relief pitcher guy, at the very least at the sixth inning guy, or maybe even seventh inning in certain stretches. And if you look at the AAA, there's Brian Bello, who we love a lot. There's Brian Mata, who was the 13th best prospect on that team last year. And anyway, but
yikes.
no,
it's a yikes situation.
I kind of like I want to see what Garrett Whitlock can do.
I mean, it's they have Sale, Kluber, and James Paxton. All of those guys are going to get hurt, and then you're going to end up having to stretch out Whitlock and Hoke very ad hocly, like right at the same time. It's just.
Hey, don't forget about Cutter Crawford now, and Brian Bello. We could see more of him next year. But this is a team, the Red Sox, that oh snap. If this is a team that if they we'll talk about the Red Sox some other time. We got the Royals. Anyway, we're gonna go on forever.
I like the Royals second baseman one between Nicky Lopez, Michael Massey, and a lot of people like Michael Garcia, but I think I'm preferential to Michael Massey there. Kind of reminds me of Daniel Murphy.
Same. Okay. Well, since we're talking about the Royals center fielder, gun to your head, Drew Waters or Kyle Isbell?
Platoon.
Gun to your head, you give me Platoon. Okay. Rangers, Josh Smith and Ezekiel Duran. Who do you like?
Platoon. Okay. One's a lefty, one's a righty. Platoon. It's that easy.
Race first baseman, Jonathan Aranda or Kyle Manzardo?
Okay, Yandy Diaz is their first baseman. I don't know. They're way off here. Yandy Diaz is playing first base.
Or they even give you Isaac Paredes too.
Yeah, Isaac Paredes is supposed to be playing third, I believe.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
From everything I've read, it's Paredes at third and Jonathan Aranda like platooning at third base.
By the way, you're the Rates and Barrels podcast trashing a little bit on Yandy Diaz. I'm just saying.
Screw them. Nobody. Yeah. I'm going to send Yandy Diaz after them.
He goes, you look at him and you're like, how can a guy that big not have enough power? And I agree. He's a fraud. Don't trust him. Tigers left field. Oh God.
Matt Vierling all the way. Vierling all the way. Yeah. Do not give me any more Akil Baddoo bullshit.
Oh yeah. White Sox second baseman, Romy Gonzalez, Lennon Sosa.
I'm telling you, the Pirates second baseman are better.
Oh, for sure. This team sucks. That's why I'm wearing my Cubs hat today, because I knew we were gonna talk about the White Sox. Closer. I mean, I think we talked about this. It's Kendall Graveman, right? And we don't have to talk about it. It might
be Reynaldo Lopez.
I like Reynaldo Lopez. I just don't think.
And he was at Driveline this offseason. I saw where he did a bunch of work with Driveline.
Interesting. But yeah, I would say it's Kendall Graveman's for now.
I think Kendall Graveman as well.
Left field for the Yankees. Oh, come on. No, we're not talking about the Yankees. They have so much talent. You got so much talent. Pick a Yankee, any Yankee. Don't pick Aaron Hicks.
Did you see some of the picks? Not the picks. The post in Baseball Life yesterday after Jason Dominguez hit a home run, and they said just start. I saw many both in Baseball Life and on Twitter. They're like, "Oh, just start Jason Dominguez in left field now," and I'm just like, "Oh God."
Listen, man. Well, right now Jason Dominguez is in football shape right now, so. For those who don't know the joke about that, I honestly believe he's the second incarnation of London Fletcher, the former linebacker for the NFL. It's the same build.
And according to this article, they still expect Estevan Florial to be a thing. I think somebody needs to tell him it's not 2018 anymore. So yeah, this is probably it's done. This is Oswaldo Cabrera's job to lose.
Not even that, is that I've seen articles and even listened to some podcasts where they're in Everson Pereira mode right now at the moment. Forget Esteban Florial. Esteban Florial is basically Miguel Andujar at this point, just a forgotten prospect who never amounted to anything, and they already moved on to Everson Pereira.
But Pereira is okay. I didn't realize he was an outfielder.
Yeah, stick with me, kid. You'll learn something. But
okay, he's only played 29 games above A ball. So let's pump the brakes here.
About Everson Pereira.
Yeah.
Yeah, not to start, but just like to keep an eye on this guy is
Okay.
basically.
Okay. I thought they were talking about him for starting
Oh
Major League left field.
no, you mentioned it. They got guys. They got Osvaldo Carrera,
They
Oswald
got
Peraza.
guys.
They got guys, and then they still want to think. They want to still make Aaron Hicks a thing, even though he's just going to get hurt anyway. And then the fifth person for that rotation, now that Frankie Montes is hurt, they got Domingo Herman. I had Clark Schmidt and Davy Garcia on the spot start on my spreadsheets.
They're still trying to make Davy Garcia a thing too.
Well, he is listed on roster research as the number one guy. The first guy that shows up is Davy Garcia.
Yeah.
He's 16th best prospect for last year's Yankee squad. Clark Schmidt was not ranked, but he's an old. He used to be a highly ranked prospect. I think when we first started this podcast, he was in the top 100 at number 118 or some crap like that.
Yeah.
So I remember we talked about him as someone, hey, keep an eye on Clark Schmidt. And we're still kind of waiting. But, 27-year-old late bloomer. Other than that, there's really nobody there.
Matt Crook is an interesting name. I used to see him pitch in 2019.
Okay.
Lefty, walks too many guys, but like has an insane ground ball rate. It's like over 60% for a left-handed. And his strikeouts have risen since becoming a Yankee back in 2021. Probably more so just a reliever, but he's been starting for him. So just a name to keep an eye on that I personally watched a bunch because he was, I want to say when Tampa used him in AA in 2019, it was more of an opener's role, 32 games, 18 starts, but only 50 total innings pitched. So yeah, it was he would always like start the game and get like 3 or 4 outs and then come out. So interesting player. It just goes to show you that when you're a lefty and you have pretty good stuff, you will get infinite amount of chances. Infinite.
Yeah. And just to tie it back up to Yard Barker, apparently Yard Barker has some sort of deal with MSN, Microsoft Network.
Yeah, I keep seeing that as well.
So that's how this little blog ended up being, I guess, a major source of news and content because they pointed up their eggs on the MSN network. So good for them. And that circle of life of this podcast, that's how we're going to end it. We got to all 30 teams. We did skip the White Sox for good reason. Final words from you, Sean, as I appreciate you going over a little bit today.
No, you're good. Just looking forward to more real baseball in the WBC coming up here in the next week or so.
Oh my God. I gotta start packing.
We're gonna have a couple of WBC exhibition games before the tournament. I think that start like this week. So it should be interesting.
So yeah, we got that. I gotta start packing. I gotta start buying gear. I don't know if I should bring one of my Chicago hats or if I should just pony up the money for the Mexican hats. So I'm all Team Mexico over here. Even though they keep all their best players keeps not showing up. We still got Julio Urias.
Is Urias he's still slated to pitch?
I thought he was listed. He's a captain.
Yeah.
There was an article saying that he is Mexican starter is ready to take the captaincy for the Mexican team and go all the way. That's an article that I read.
Austin Barnes is playing for Team Mexico. Urias needs his personal catcher.
Yeah, damn right he does. Yeah, they gave him the Mexican hood. They got the Mexican. You ever see Blue Streak with Martin Lawrence and Luke Wilson? I got my Federale hood. You're what? I'm a Mexican Federale. I got my Federale hood.
Oh, Oliver Perez is still going to be on it. It looks like he's going to make one last run because I think he's officially retired.
Not for Mexico.
Yeah, not for Mexico. Jonathan Aranda, Joey Meneses, Isaac Paredes, Rowdy Telez, Alan Trejo, Luis Arias, Randy Rosarena.
Is that the Wikipedia page or where are you?
This is the MLB.com page.
Oh, sweet. That's official. Yeah, Rosarena is
Alec Thomas is playing for Team Mexico.
Oh yeah.
You guys got all the lefty outfielders: Jaron Duran, Alec Thomas, Alex Verdugo.
Yeah, we're gonna surprise some people, man. I keep telling you, look out. But unfortunately,
no Alejandro Carcarts.
Yeah, I'll be.
And you guys got Taijuan Walker. You guys have actually one of the better rotations.
I'm telling you, man. I am telling you. People are laughing at me.
Taijuan Walker, Jose Urquidy, Julio Urias, Patrick Sandoval.
Hell yeah. Oh, Patrick Sandoval.
Adrian Martinez. I actually like Adrian Martinez. Not many people know him, though.
Yeah, I think he... I'm thinking about Nick Martinez. Nick Martinez.
Really good change-up.
Nick Martinez is the guy who replaced somebody for Team USA, and I forgot who it was. So we get a Martinez, and you guys, Team USA gets a Martinez.
Everybody gets Martinez.
Oh, there's a Martinez everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Venezuela, Dominican Republic, I think. Anyway, but yeah, we're gonna do that. I still gotta pack. I still gotta get ready. I got my plane ticket. I got everything, all the essentials ready. I just now down to the minute things. I'm like the worst traveler ever. I don't do it enough. And now my wife's not going. I usually depend on her to just pack up my stuff and
Yeah.
do everything and do everything for me. No,
The traveling
not
is
this time
easy for
around.
me. The packing is hard.
The packing and unpacking and what to
Yeah.
bring, what not to bring. So I'm in stress mode but yeah, I'm excited. I'm gonna go with one of my best friends. We're gonna meet up Austin, Eddie Morales, Corey Decker, Kevin Martinez. And speaking of Martinez, Kevin Martinez, and who else? Sean O'Halloran.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so we're some Mets pride gonna be represented down there, and I'm sure we're missing others. But anyway, that's it. And then we're gonna try to do a mock draft next week. So
We'll see how that goes.
We'll send out some feelers, and yeah, we'll see how that goes. Anyway, that's Sean. I am Felipe. We will see you next time. Have a good one,
Adios,
everybody.
guys.
Yep.